Right, let's get through this show. So, Warcraft Direct has finally happened, and we now know everything about what is in store for the future of Classic WoW. I think these announcements are going to evoke quite a mixed bag of emotions from the Classic WoW community. I think there's going to be a lot of happiness and a lot of hype, but also a lot of disappointment. What has essentially been confirmed is fresh vanilla WoW servers. You can look at these actually more of a classic, that's what they're calling it anyway. It's basically going to be a rerun of Classic WoW because they have confirmed that these fresh vanilla servers will progress into the Burning Crusade. So at least we will get a form of the Burning Crusade in the future down the pipeline. Certain quality of life changes like the Chrono Boom and also the revamped PvP ranking system will be available also on these fresh vanilla realms. And to be fair, one of the coolest things about this, it's launching next week. Like, it's actually launching in a week as I'm making this video. In fact, precisely in 8 days. In 8 days, you will be able to play fresh vanilla World of Warcraft. Interestingly, they are doing the realms very differently this time. So there's actually going to be one of each realm at launch. So one PvP realm, one PvE realm, and one hardcore realm. So they're essentially releasing huge mega servers. And that's going to be your only option. Sorry about the Discord messages. Obviously, at a time like this, there's a lot of people pinging me. I think this is actually a pretty good idea. I mean, I've always said this from the start that they really should just implement mega server technology to Classic WoW because realm problems are really irritating. Forcing people to have to pay for character transfers is not great. So this is one thing I am actually quite positive and pretty happy about. To be honest, I actually think that there is a good chance that this time round in 2024, the whole Classic WoW experience will be better and more refined than it was originally in 2019. Although really it didn't need to be. They could have done all these changes day one of Classic WoW. But anyway, there is also going to be a totally fresh hardcore server too, and the hardcore server will also have a progressive patch system. So it won't launch with every single phase on release. It's basically just going to be the exact same as, you know, all the other different realms. But hardcore will not progress into the Burning Crusade, which I find quite utterly bewildering, to be honest, because I think a lot of people were really looking forward to, you know, playing the hardcore classic with all of the Burning Crusade class changes and obviously all the world changes, and obviously the added challenge of trying to like complete all TBC content on one life. They have also confirmed that apart from the quality of life changes that I've mentioned, there is going to be no changes. So there's going to be none of the cool stuff that we saw in Season of Discovery, like all of the really cool world PvP events, the added abilities with the rune system, and they also haven't really mumbled about any kind of experience boost or anything like that. And since it's basically coming out next week, you can pretty much confirm that there's not going to be probably that much changes to these fresh vanilla realms, and you can probably expect also there to be no new fresh content. There will, however, be a pre-made group finder to make it easier for people to find groups. I think that is definitely needed on a mega realm, otherwise the world chat would just be absolutely spammed to the point where you couldn't see anything. Obviously there's add-ons for a workaround around that, but yeah, a pre-made group finder it's not exactly a bad thing to have in the game, and I think it's definitely a solid addition, especially when you're going to launch the whole of Fresh Classic on these mega servers. It's probably not going to be that much different to the one currently in Cataclysm Classic. This time round, they're deciding not to launch endgame raid content at launch. I think this is a fairly... It makes sense, because it just gives enough time for people of varying skill levels and obviously varying amount of free time to play video games to all catch up and be on the same level playing field for when people do hit endgame content. There's also going to be no character transfers on these servers, which it does kind of make sense, to be fair. Like, you probably wouldn't need to transfer your character if there's only, well, one other realm available, but that one other realm is a PvE server instead. So really that is nothing new. They are, however, forcing faction balance, like the kind of thing that we saw in Season of Discovery. If too many people have made a Horde character on one given realm, you will no longer be able to make a Horde character. Yes, this is a good mechanic to have in the game for the greater good, to keep servers balanced. The only obvious problem that this will bring up is people not being able to play with their friends. So that is going to potentially be a little problem in, you know, a case-to-case scenario, and some people are going to be a bit peeved off by that. But I think for the greater good of the game, it is better to have a balanced faction balance. We're also sticking to the Season of Discovery policy, and there's going to be absolutely no GDKPs. This is an absolute solid, obviously. This is going to be good for the economy of the game. I am glad that Blizzard are finally listening to the community, and I no longer have to make very extensive documentaries about why GDKPs are extremely bad for the game, because those videos are a ridiculous amount of work. But obviously, the quite sad thing about all of this is it probably, I mean, to me, it kind of basically confirms that Classic Plus is not, it's not going to happen. At least it's not going to happen for a long time, because it seems like they've basically done the bare minimum and picked the path of least resistance in order to make maximum profit, and they are just basically just re-releasing something that they've already released that doesn't require that much of a financial investment, because obviously releasing and creating new content would require development time and would require a financial investment, and they're deciding to not take the route, the Classic Plus the route of basically creating a new, refined, improved version of vanilla World of Warcraft with loads of cut content restored to the game and loads of other changes that could improve the game and take Classic WoW to basically become its own unique and interesting, fun entity separate to retail World of Warcraft and even separate to just re-releasing all the expansions again. And it is a total shame that they have decided not to go down that route. What is also quite interesting is, so Fresh Classic is basically happening next week, okay? But they've also confirmed that, yes, they still want to continue releasing phases for Season of Discovery. And then they also confirmed that they are finally going to do the actual, proper, fresh, new content. I know technically the leveling raids were kind of new content, but they're basically recycled content, recycled ideas and stuff like that. They have confirmed that they are creating a totally new, a novel, unique idea for a raid instance. They are finally doing the Scarlet Monastery raid. And they said, well, the words were precisely Adventures in Karazhan. Sorry, Deadwind Pass. So obviously there's probably going to be something to do with Karazhan Crypts. And it's interesting that only now, well, I suppose technically in the previous phase they did release that new raid, new dungeon. They have released a couple new dungeons and obviously new world events. But obviously creating a new raid, like a new endgame raid, if it's going to be an endgame raid anyway, on the level of Naxxramas, that has not been done before. But they're deciding to do that. They've decided to come correct and go all the way to create new endgame raid content. But that's not going to be for a few months, right, obviously. And they're releasing Fresh Classic in a week. Nobody's going to be playing Season of Discovery in a week. Like, obviously I'm exaggerating, but the population of Season of Discovery will dramatically decline because they're, you know, pulling this 180 idea out of nowhere and just releasing fresh vanilla realms. It really doesn't seem like the most logical choice. I mean, to me, if I was Blizzard, I would have waited for Season of Discovery to be fully progressed and then maybe release these fresh Classic servers. I just worry really that all of this new stuff of adding to Season of Discovery will ultimately just be a bit of a waste of time and people won't get to actually see some real Classic Plus content because everyone would be too busy with fresh vanilla. It does seem like a very interesting decision. So, I mean, Seasonal Discovery has always been a seasonal realm. It has a expiry date. I think Blizzard have pretty much confirmed that. But they also did say that, don't worry, you will have a cool place for your characters to progress to. So does that mean that our characters are just going to be transferred basically to a fresh vanilla realm? How's that going to work? Because people on Seasonal Discovery will have later phase gear. So if they're not going to get progressed onto those realms, are they going to get progressed onto Classic Era realms, like current Classic Era realms? What is going to happen? Is there going to be a Seasonal Discovery Era? Is Seasonal Discovery going to actually evolve into Classic Plus? I mean, probably not. Everything just seems a bit uncertain and convoluted right now. I really don't understand why they didn't just announce Classic Plus and they go full in with Classic Plus. In fact, what they really should have done is they should have done that a year ago at BlizzCon. They should have announced Classic Plus. Seasonal Discovery is the perfect experiment that did not need to actually really happen. It's no mystery to anyone. Nobody really needed to find out whether there is an actual interest in Classic Plus. Of course there is. Of course people wanted Classic Plus. We've been talking about that actually for about 6 years. We've been talking about that since we were uncertain whether Classic was going to evolve into the Burning Crusade. We were there thinking, is it going to go into expanded vanilla content, or are we just going to progress into the Burning Crusade? We were talking about it back then, and we wanted it back then. For some reason, Blizzard still don't want to give us that option. Not to toot my own horn, but the last video that I made about custom Classic Plus servers, private servers, is one of the most viewed videos on my channel in the past few months. So it really is a total no-brainer that we need Classic Plus. But anyway, at least MOP Classic is coming out. My name is MetaGoblin. Until my next video, ciao. Just before I head off, actually, I don't want to come across as really negative in my videos. I just feel really miffed and deflated personally as an individual, because obviously I really wanted something like Classic Plus to launch, but basically I'm basically in a situation where I'm gonna have to for fresh classic I'm gonna have to say one more time, I will have to make the same videos that I've made for the past few years again, which I personally will not find very entertaining. And I probably wouldn't really find making Mr. Pandaria Classic videos very entertaining either, although it would be better than making the same videos again. So, yeah, I'm just a little miffed, to be honest. I am just honestly just a little miffed that I don't have new stuff to make videos about. And I think a lot of people also in the community are pretty miffed that we don't have anything new and exciting to really stick our teeth into when it comes to the classic version of World of Warcraft. But, at least for doing player housing on retail World of Warcraft in the next expansion, I guess. Anyway, my name is MetaGoblin. Until the next video, ciao.